we're going to talk about weight management tonight, and although I think Zija has the best weight management system, it's obviously not the magic bullet, right? It's not going to be instant fix. So sometimes you have to do other things too, and I think it's always good to augment. And this is lemon, maple syrup, cayenne pepper. It's what I teach when I teach the Detox U, and it's a good support. So that's what I'm drinking tonight, if anybody's wondering what kind of floaties I have in my bottle over here. But we are going to talk about products that are kind of behind me because I've repositioned myself. Just a little bit about me to introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name's Dee Dee Shaw. I'm a diamond executive with Zija International, but also more so than that, I'm a mom of 14, and I've been really focused on health and nutrition for, I guess, about 17 years. And it's been a slow journey. It's been, baby steps. I've been with Zija for 6.5 years. And when I first joined, we didn't have weight management. Weight management wasn't a part of what we had product-wise. We only had the nutritionals, and we didn't even have all these. We only had Smart Mix. That was all we had. And it's amazing because when you get the foundational nutrition you need, a lot of people start to release weight just on nutrition. I know one guy who lost 80 pounds in 8 weeks. And this was somebody who ate organic, yes. Just getting the right nutrition in his body.
Girlfriend.
So, yeah. Yes, there is hope. Everybody's body doesn't release the same way. We all have different issues, but Moringa, really, I tell people there's no missing links in the chain. Everything your body needs is in Moringa. And so foundationally, you can't start out with anything better. If I had to pick one product, this would be it, because it gives you, like I said, everything you need, all your vitamins, all your minerals, all your omega fats, which are really important, and even your amino acids. So the makeup of Moringa, Dr. MetamorphU says it's almost a perfect food. It's as close as she knows to getting to a perfect food. And then we have Smart Mix was enhanced to include some prebiotics for your body. So if you have some digestive issues, Smart Mix is a better way to go. If you are not inclined to doing nutritional things, and this is your first stab at being healthy, Smart Mix would be where to start because it has a little bit less Moringa. And even something that's really, really good for you, a lot of that all at once can be a shock to the system. So we have Smart Mix, and then we have Super Mix, which is like a double dose of the Smart Mix with Moringa. It does not have prebiotics in it. And then there's XM Plus, which is a favorite of a lot of people. This is not my product of choice for weight management. It just isn't. A lot of people say, well, it helps suppress appetite, and it does. And it has added energy. So I have to kind of talk to somebody and figure out, okay, so what do you normally do? If you're going to drink 6 cups of coffee a day, then this is a better option. If you're not somebody who already needs a lot of stimulants, then this would not be my choice, although it makes you feel great. It tends to, and especially in women over 40, it's not the best option for weight management, but it's a great product, and a lot of people love it. They use it as a pre-workout, just for energy in place of coffee. So those are our nutritionals, and that's kind of, like I said, the foundation for weight management. And then we have,
are they capsules?
there are capsules, but this is a packet. This is a packet that is normally what I have in here. You just mix it. So it is literally a food. It is not a supplement. I tell people if you're taking supplements, you're probably wasting your money, because this is 100% bioavailable, whereas a supplement, even the best of the best, the ones that say they're 100% food, right? And you can buy those at the health food store and spend $60 for a multivitamin, but they boast 85% absorbability because it's in a lab, right? And if you go to your local CVS or to the Walmart and pick up something there, your absorbability could be as little as 1%. Literally, there have been mega vitamin companies or big names that have had lawsuits against them because they say they have 100% of everything you need. But we only absorb 1% of it, so that kind of makes it not worth, the take. And the other thing too is your body either, if it's not going to absorb it, it needs to excrete it or somehow deal with it. So we're lucky if we flush it down the toilet. If you're not flushing it down the toilet, then you're ending up with kidney stones and gallstones and other things because your body says, I don't know what that stuff is, but it's not food. And then it tries to isolate it some way, and that's how kidney stones form. That's how gallstones form. So, anyway, food, 100% absorbable, and you just mix it in water. What makes Zija's Moringa different, and I think this is something we didn't used to talk about because we were first to market. So now people say, well, I saw Moringa on Amazon, or I saw Moringa here or there. We are still the only company that has a product that is still enzymatically alive because it's been shade dried, and we're still the only company that uses all the beneficial parts of the tree. So there's a lot of other companies that will claim to be Moringa, and all they have is the leaf. Well, all those 90 nutrients aren't in the leaf. They're in the leaf, they're in the fruit, they're in the seed. And so when you put all that together, you have everything. But if you're just getting the leaf, then you don't. And the other thing about most companies is their way of harvesting is mowing down the little seedlings instead of hand picking the leaves, which adds to it root and bark and things that don't need to be in there. So that's the nutrition. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the tea, and we joke and we say the tea is the key. We were talking about detoxing and the need for detox. A lot of different weight management programs will have some sort of a detox, but what they have really is a colon cleanse, right? You do this cleanse for 10 days, and then you do. The bad thing about that is you're really not detoxing your body. You might be flushing toxins, but you're not detoxing the body. And you have organs that, like your liver and your gallbladder, and those are organs that, and your kidneys, that will pull toxins out, and then they'll get kind of clogged up with toxins because they're overworked. Our detox tea focuses on the liver. It focuses on the kidneys. It focuses on providing the detox organs with support to help them detox. Then we flush it out, right? So you still have to flush it out, but it's not like a colon cleanse. So we have our premium tea, which is in a white packet, and then we also have a daily tea, which helps a little bit with immune support. It helps with appetite suppression, that sort of stuff. That's kind of an optional one. This one is not. The premium tea is not optional. In fact, I will sometimes, depending on the issue, start somebody on the detox tea before I ever put them on the Moringa. Because if your body is all clogged up, then you're not absorbing the nutrition anyway, no matter how good it is. And then we have a couple of different capsules. We actually have 3 different ones. Most people, when they see a capsule, they think it's a diet pill. That's what I thought. When we first came out with the weight management system, I said, I love our nutrition, but I'm not going to market diet pills. I'm a weight management coach. Diet pills are that you don't get sustainable results with diet pills. And they said, no, it's not a diet pill. And in fact, they used to say Body and Balance on them. When we first came out with them, they said Body and Balance. So the more I did research on the ingredients, the more I realized I have a 93-year-old woman that uses this product, and not for weight management. She uses it because it helps her adrenals to rest. What happens when your adrenals don't rest? Your cortisol levels go up. If your cortisol levels are up, what else happens? You're not burning fat like you should. And so this product, no stimulant, good for anybody, doesn't have to be taken in the evening, but most people do. And I have to be really careful to be compliant because we can't talk about disease conditions, but it addresses particular markers. It's helping to balance out blood sugar. It's helping to level out triglycerides. It's helping to address markers that could lead to disease. And so I really, really love this product. Then we also have XM Burn and another capsule called XM AM. They do similar things, and it's almost which works better for you. Some people swap back and forth, but they're addressing the endocrine system. They're addressing your metabolism that might be a little bit sluggish. They're addressing, this one in particular addresses thermogenics. So it helps to raise your basal temperature. Well, the higher your temperature is, the more you're burning fat, right? And so that's one of the things, and it's called XM burn. A lot of people will actually experience maybe a flush. It has a lot of niacin in it. So if you've ever heard of a niacin flush, it feels a little bit like that. And that's the XM burn. XM AM is usually what I'll put somebody on if they're sensitive to stimulants. And now now the XM burn, it used to be you take 1 capsule, now it's 2. So you can half the amount you take now, which I love. It was when we first came out with our products. I said, can you please do this? Because everybody doesn't need something that strong. So I'm really excited that we have that as an option now. And that pretty much covers the weight management system. A lot of people see a protein shake or a meal replacement and they think, what? We've got all these systems out there that are meal replacement systems. Drink 2 shakes, eat 1 meal, you know, get skinny, go back to eating, gain it all back plus 10 extra pounds, right? And there's truly a reason for that. One is this is not sustainable. Nobody's going to live their life drinking 2 shakes a day. They're just not. But what happens when you shift your body like that, you're almost, and not always, but a lot of times you're shifting almost into a ketosis state. You've dropped your caloric intake so low that your body sort of goes into starvation mode. And it doesn't matter how much you try to support it with good nutrition, it starts eating the muscle. That's what it does, because it says, I need to save my fat stores for later, and I'm going to eat muscles. So any kind of system that goes off of 2 shakes and 1 meal or a low caloric intake, you're averaging about 50% fat, 50% muscle loss, which is not good, right? Because what happens is when you hit your goal weight, now you've lost a lot of muscle. And it takes more calories to support muscle than it does to support fat. So you start eating normal again, still with what you would think is a low enough caloric intake. So I hate counting calories. But you bring it down, you know, to what you think would be good. You still gain weight because you don't have that muscle anymore. So that's where the whole yo-yo thing comes from. What this is for, you can actually use it to gain weight. You can use it for building muscle, protein after you work out. But it's also for a substitute for McDonald's, right? A lot of times we don't have great choices. And we talked about that in our class the other night. You know, what do you do when you're out and about and you have McDonald's on this corner and Wendy's on this corner? You keep a little packet of XM protein, you know, that with the scoops already measured out. And it's not the best mixed in water, but it's definitely better than other options. I prefer mine in either raw goat milk or almond milk. Those are my preferences. But if I have to do it in water versus eat something that I know is really unhealthy, it's definitely my choice. It's also for people who say, you know what, I just don't like to eat breakfast. Because breakfast is the meal that we're breaking our fast and we're turning our metabolism back on. And if you get up and you don't have something to feed your body, then the metabolism never kicks back in. And if your metabolism's only turned on from 12 o'clock to about 6 o'clock, then you're not really getting what you need to support your body if you're looking for a good weight management system. So great for protein substitute in the morning if you're not somebody who likes to eat eggs or whatever. Great for a meal replacement when you're struggling with good options, but it's not a meal replacement weight management system. So I always have to be careful that I explain that.
Can you add that to a green drink?
Absolutely. In fact, I always do. I did a webinar, it's out there, called Green Smoothie Friend or Foe. And we talked a little bit about that when we did green smoothies, but not a whole lot. You want a balance. If you put fruit and greens, 5 ounces of fruit is a lot more dense than 5 ounces of greens. And so you still are going to have a pretty decent sugar spike, even if you do half and half. And most people don't do half and half. Most people do, you know, 2 cups of greens and 2 cups of fruit, and you're measuring that dry, the ounces are, you're almost doubling your fruit. So you can do that and still have something that tastes good, but add a fat and add a protein. And I think I mentioned this the other night. We were doing a class. I mentioned it the other night. One of the things that's created our diabetic epidemic is the removal of fat from our diet, because it doesn't balance anymore. We're always jacking up our blood sugar with carbohydrates, and if we have fat in our diet, it balances and brings that back down, so it's a slower process for the body, and you don't have your blood sugar spike so high. I would be happy to entertain questions. Steve, if you're sitting there, you could probably do the same thing for the room. Off to the right-hand side, there's a chat. If anybody has questions, they can type that out. And I know that there was a question about trim and tone and the AGX metabolism. We got 2 cameras running. You got yours going now? No? Okay. And what's the difference? Trim and tone is an essential oil that can be used aromatically, topically, or internally. And all 3 of those work to manage appetite, help with just mood enhancement, that sort of thing. The difference between trim and tone and the AGX metabolism is with the AGX, we're addressing the DNA. We're down to, figuring out what's not working. With this, it's more addressing digestion and that sort of stuff. So that was a question that somebody had. And the ingredients are not the same. There are some that are the same, but it's not even designed to do the same thing. So this is something that a lot of people, we've had people use just the trim and tone and some support from some other citrus oils that have lost lots and lots of weight before they ever knew about moringa. So does anybody have any questions? Any questions in the chat room? I'm not sure how many people have joined us because I didn't do pre-registration. And I kind of did that for a reason. And now people can go back to the replay and I can edit it and I don't have live bloopers.
So I can see this.
Can you talk a little bit about the bath?
Oh, skinny
yeah,
dipping.
skinny
I don't
dipping.
have
Skinny
one here to talk about. So, yes, I'll be glad to. Cheryl asked the question about how skinny dipping can support weight management. And this is just kind of a little bit of my story. I think I've shared with y'all that my endocrine system doesn't work right. Well, the other biggie that doesn't work for me is my liver. It totally shut down with one pregnancy. Realized it was because of overuse of Advil and Tylenol in years past. Doctor offered me drugs. I said, no, thank you. I went and found a liver cleansing diet where you took all the work off the liver. It didn't have anything to do as far as enzymatic, because it does a lot of enzyme processing and a lot of converting of food. So it was foods that were really simple for the liver. No meat, no dairy, no eggs. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff that I was not eating. And as long as I followed that diet, I didn't have any liver issues. What happened after the baby was born, I went back to eating normal, and everything was okay because it was just so much work on the liver just to support the baby. But as life goes on, I realized that my liver is always going to be compromised. And I did that 30-day green smoothie thing, didn't lose an ounce. Well, they came back, right? 2 pounds that were gone, and then the day I put food in my mouth, they were back. I'm just like that. So it was frustrating to me, not so much that I couldn't lose the weight, which was frustrating, but more so because I knew there was still something not right. I knew there was still something I needed to fix. So people were talking about wrapping. We've heard of the company that has wraps, and I won't get into that, but I needed something that I knew was supporting my body and something that would help me to detox. What was disconcerting to me was I was hearing people talk about using our essential oils and wrapping in saran wrap. Well, one thing that not everybody knows when they first get involved with essential oils is they will eat through plastic. just, I mean, like that, eat through plastic. You can drop a citrus oil on a balloon and it will pop before you see the oil hit it. It's just crazy how they will, I mean, they're detoxifiers, and so they break that plastic down. Well, then you're sucking it into your body, so that's not good. So when they started doing that, I'm like, wait, let's try something different. And essential oils have been used forever. Cleopatra used them. It was what gave her ageless beauty, right? So if you read about Esther, that was what all the women did before they came before the king. They spent 6 months bathing and living with essential oils. So I said, well, let's just come up with a bath. And it's a combination of oils that detox the body mixed with Epsom salts, which we already know is a detoxifier, where you can circumvent the liver and get your body to detox through the skin. So we've had pretty crazy, amazing results. For me, just getting that extra 10 nagging pounds off was worth it. It was not overnight results for me. We've had some people that have lost 4 pounds and 6 inches in one dip, which is not the norm.
Yeah.
but when you've got toxins just built up and you can pull them out through the skin, it's just another way to support your body. Do we get any feedback in the room?
Well, there was a question about AGX metabolism and trim and tone, which I
addressed. Yes, and you can go online.
That's the only thing.
Okay, you can actually go online and read what the ingredients are, but their focus is totally different. Trim and tone is really to help your metabolism by supporting digestion, and it's got oils in it that support lymph detoxification, that sort of thing. The AGX metabolism is more focused on what's not working because of genes that are not functioning properly. So let's get those genes working right. So it's more of a genetic DNA support level, the AGX is. Both are excellent products. And when I was doing my detox, I was using the metabolism and the cleanse at the same time. Any other questions?
I occasionally find people that have a lot of confusion in regards to the different grades of oils that are out there.
Okay.
Therapeutic versus clinical versus someone just basic.
My oil's better than your oil?
Yeah, type deal.
Because we test ours too.
And,
yes.
and finding an answer sometimes is a challenge.
Okay, so here's my favorite way to do it, because I like to use analogies because it takes people off the focus of my oil's better than your oil. So we're all familiar with the revolution of the music industry. Everybody in here is old enough to even remember the phonograph, the record, right? That was the beginning.
Seen some of them, yeah.
Oh, come on, Ernie. So we remember that was just revolutionary, right? We came out with a record and it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then all of a sudden along comes, we're gonna skip the 8-track. It didn't last very long. It was great, but it didn't last. So we're gonna go to the cassette tape, because that's really what was a whole, era of music. We have a question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me finish that. So we have a whole era of cassette tapes, and now they're great, but they're not as good as cassette tapes. And then we went from cassette tapes, we're gonna skip CDs, because CDs are great, but now we have the MP3. And MP3 has revolutionized the music industry in so many different ways. And I like to talk about essential oils sort of in the same way. We have had an evolution of oils. There was no way to test for potency and purity. We had, different distillation processes, and we've got better and better and better. Where we are with a mayo is kind of like we've arrived at the MP3 level. We are able to not just call them a therapeutic grade oil or an aromatic oil, but they have been tested for potency and purity to the level that are used in research. So this is not our measurement. We didn't say, okay, this is what would be good, and this is so now we're going to call this clinical grade. It's actually the measurements that are used in research. So what are they using at universities? What are they using in clinical trials and research? How do they measure that? Because they're not just pulling any oil off the shelf. they're making sure that what they're using is pure and potent enough to be able to use it in a medical setting. So that we've taken their measurements and we've developed a test, and not only do we test it, but every batch you can look at that test. And to me, that speaks louder than anything, because everybody can say my oil is the best. Everybody can. And there's some good oils out there. Everybody can say we test our oils. I'm a Missouri kind of person. I wasn't born there, but I'm a show me kind of person. You test your oils, I want to see those tests. I want to know. And so these oils, you type in that batch number, and it's not just we tested the lavender that we get from this supplier. Every single batch of lavender goes through that test, and then it's available publicly for anybody that can type in that batch number to look at where it was grown, how it was distilled, and all of the different tests that are used to measure it to a clinical grade. Now, granted, you're never going to see any that say fail, because it won't get the Mayo label and go back to the supplier. But you do get to see that test, and it is not a Mayo, it is not Zija doing that test. It's a third-party company that does the quality assurance for us. So we do our own testing, but then we have a third-party company do the quality assurance to do the certified testing. Does that help?
Yeah.
Awesome. What's our other question?
How many drops per day is good to start with, or just trial and error? For the, I think she's talking about the AGX and the trim and toning.
Okay. It depends on the purpose. If you're looking at supporting weight management, I always go back to you got to support it with nutrition and detoxing. That comes first. So I would not be the one to say this is where you start. If you're going to add in trim and tone, I wouldn't do more than 2 drops at a time internally. You could do 2 to 4 drops, and I would dilute it just so that I could spread it. And this is how I used it initially, and it helps with appetite suppression, and it actually helped to flatten my tummy when I was doing it topically. But I would just take, just put a couple drops in my hand, put a little fractionated coconut oil in my hand and rub it on my tummy, and it literally trims and tones, with the application. And so I wish I had Brittany's pictures here. We have some people that have used it for that purpose, more tightening and that sort of stuff. She did trim and tone and frankincense, and she was what inspired me to work on my stretch marks. So there's some really cool pictures of Brittany that I have in my stuff that show her before and after. And it's not about really weight release as much as it is just about tightening of skin and toning up and having the stretch marks just kind of disappear. But that would be where I'd start if I felt like I had something going on genetically, or if I were doing a detox. When I did mine, I did capsules, and I diluted it 50-50, so I added as much fractionated coconut oil as I had the other oils, but I did 2 drops of cleanse and 2 drops of metabolism in my capsules, and I did those twice a day.
Okay.
And the cleanse is just another one that supports the detoxification process, but more so at the genetic level, fix what's not working.
Somebody said, named Debbie said she's glad you're doing this because she's learned so much. She's been using the products wrong.
Well, I'm not sure you can use the products wrong. You can maximize your results. I think that's more, I guess you could use the products wrong, but I think learning the best way to maximize results. For instance, we didn't really talk about doing the detox tea at night, and I think that's kind of something that we consider a given, but not everybody knows that. So the way the detox tea works is it supports your body's detox function, and you detox when you sleep. That's what your body does, detox and restore. So it's all about rebuilding when you sleep. If you do the detox tea right before you go to bed, we just say you get up in the morning, you know what to do. right? So it's that simple. If you do the detox tea in the morning or in the afternoon, your know what to do time frame might not be convenient, right? So it's really better, and you're supporting your body's natural functions. And I think that's important because a lot of times you'll find people that have come up with weight management products that try to trick the body. I think about that HCG diet, and it literally makes my skin crawl. And I don't understand why anybody could sign up for that program, because literally, Steve, if you were to do the HCG diet, we would be putting product in your body that would cause your body to think it was pregnant. Literally, that's what the HCG diet does. It tricks your body into thinking you're pregnant. That's a part of that process, and people just think it's, and you reduce your caloric intake to only protein and 500 calories a day. It's just crazy what that can do to your system. But people are so desperate and they feel like they need to do it quickly. And so anybody says quick weight loss and they jump on the bandwagon, not realizing that anytime you're doing anything that's weight loss, all you're gonna do is find it again. It is. We need to focus on weight release. We need to focus on being healthy. We need to focus on changing our lifestyle, not just getting the weight off. So are we good with questions?
You guys got any questions?
Am I good with time? Did we do this in a timely fashion, sort of halfway? I'm bad about time.
We really hadn't talked about moringa.
No, we didn't. We were kind of,
So y'all are really
and we can see if there's any more questions here and shut it down, and then we
what
can.
is the recommended amount of calories per day?
Okay, so there's a great question. I hate calorie counting because calories don't count. It is the kind of calories that count. And I tell people all the time, I could put this person over here on a 2,000 calorie diet, and this person over here on a 2,000 calorie diet, and this person would gain and this person would lose. This person would get sick and this person would get healthy. So I'm not a calorie counter. The only time I count calories is when I see something as atrocious as buy the big gulp so that we can support juvenile diabetes. I have to talk about it then. Because 1,200 calories in anything you drink is not a good idea. It's just not. But I'm not about counting calories. I don't like to count calories. I would much rather make healthy choices, and then you don't have to count calories. Okay. I'm sorry, I had to avoid answering that question, but I don't have a recommended amount.
That was it.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Not
Well,
right now.
thank everybody for joining us on the webinar. And Steve, you can just hit that stop broadcast and we'll get it set up so we can replay it and I can edit it and then we can chat.
And we'll all see a perfect video.
Yeah, there you go.
Then we'll all